Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Project Lemons to Lemonade. Our next speaker established Alberta's trade office in Mexico. He's the #1 bestseller in the history category in Canada since Pierre Burton, and Japanese is his second language. Please welcome Norman Leach from Creative Concepts Marketing. Welcome, Norman.
Hi, Daphne. How are you today?
Great. Thank you for joining us. I actually am super curious about your Japanese. Can give me the 30-second pitch on how that works with you.
I lived in Japan for a couple of years. 1 year as a Rotary exchange student, then went back to work at the Expo 85 in Japan, and it was pure immersion. And so Japanese become part of my life, and it just stays there.
That's awesome. And you speak Spanish too, ¿cierto?
Sí, un poquito.
Un
Sí.
poquito. So Norman, you're such a history expert that you've consulted on movies. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, both movies and on documentaries, but I think the big one that everyone might recognize is Paul Gross's Passchendaele that was filmed a number of years ago. Biggest and most expensive production ever in Canadian history. And so it was a lot of fun. And for me as a historian to be able to dress up and live in 1917 for a little while is hard to describe.
That must have been amazing.
It really was, and it spoke to Paul's absolute insistence that everything be accurate and be correct, and he allowed me to do my job, which was to make sure it was accurate.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm a really big fan of Middle Eastern art and culture, North Africa, and I just love it when the movies actually depict it, in truth instead of like all the fantasy that comes up from a lot of the regions. So I really appreciate that. So Norman, you have written 12 bestsellers in Canadian military history, and you know a lot about history. So I wanted to ask you today, what can we learn from the past that we can apply to the present?
Well, what we know is that there have been challenges in the past. So for people to say it's unprecedented what we're going through, it's only unprecedented in about the last 5 years because we have seen these things come and go, whether it was the N1H1 in 2016 or whether it was the Spanish flu 100 years ago. These kinds of challenges to economies and societies come and go, and human beings adjust to them. And so, what we do know from history is this too will end, and we will get back to doing business, and we get back to doing things that we were used to doing. We may do it differently, but we're going to continue with life as we know it.
And over your career, your 30 years, you've done a lot of marketing strategy. You've helped thousands of entrepreneurs. What experience share can you give us where one of your entrepreneurs was kind of in a rut, like we all are now, facing tough times? Are there any lessons that you can share with us that can help our listeners?
Yeah, I think there's some real lessons. One is stay focused. There's no question this is going to end. And so we need to be focused and drive forward. It is not the time to be scared, it's the time to be bold. And so companies that retreat and get nervous and start laying off all their good employees and start hoarding things, it doesn't make sense. Whether this is a month or 3 months or 6 months, it will come to an end and we will have to get back to doing business. And those companies that have been looking forward, improving themselves, doing the things that they need to do, including staying in touch with customers at this time, they will come out way ahead. If you retreat, if you pull back, you could suffer the ultimate, which is going out of business.
You're a marketer too, and what's interesting for me lately is that I've heard a lot of corporations, so the bigger companies, saying, oh, stop all marketing, don't do any, like, stop all ads. And I think that's a huge mistake, and I was just making a short video about it just yesterday, because everybody's online right now and you still need brand awareness. And what better time than, while a lot of people think that it's not a, let's not be online, so let the right people with the right messaging, of course, be online. You should be online. So what do you think about that?
Absolutely. The challenge is that 100 years ago and today, people still buy from people. They don't buy from companies. They don't buy just on the internet. They buy because they believe they have a personal relationship with the person that's selling. So this is the chance to get out to good customers, new customers, people that you have not maybe touched base with for a month or two or five or a year, and just call them and don't try to sell them anything. Just simply say, how are you doing? What's going on? And when we do get out of this 3 months from now, how will I be of service to you? How can I help you, Daphne, run your business better 3 months from now, 6 months from now? Don't make any decisions. Don't buy anything. Don't spend any money. I get that. We're all working our way through that. But in reality, you need to be looking ahead. And I can't emphasize that enough. I'm seeing all around me small companies, large companies withdrawing from the marketplace, and they will have a real disadvantage when this ends.
I think there's been, the last couple of weeks were, as I've been saying, offensive or defensive, sorry, right? And trying to, save your business and trying to figure out what to do internally. But now we have to move past that and go out into the world and keep building relationships, right? Because whatever you do today is going to affect you 3 months down the road. So what's that going to look like if you just stop everything right now?
Yeah, I think one of the big mistakes I'm seeing around me everywhere right now is the companies in a urge to save cash are laying off their best employees, the people that have the best relations with their customers, the people who've been there the longest, who know the company inside and out. And they're saying, well, short-term gain is we don't pay them. Long-term pain may be that your company is actually gutted from the inside out and you just will not be able to start up again when all of this passes.
That's right. That's an excellent point. Thank you, Norman. Thank you for chatting with us today.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time, Daphne.